Now, there's one idea that always baffles me. Why is it that people do not walk more? Why don't they partake in this simple exercise? Now, I'm not going to call it an exercise. It's a movement. It's a bodily movement. We're constantly walking, going to and from places. You know, walking for 30 minutes burns between 100 to 200 calories. Imagine doing that constantly throughout your day, incorporating it. So park your car a little further. Go on that stroll during the sunset. Now, these are going to accumulate, and with that, you'll be even able to indulge in that sweet bite at the end of the day. Now, if you have a reason as to why you should not be walking, then sure, don't. But the way I look at it, the positives way outweigh the negatives.
Hi. One medical condition is very important, and maybe you didn't realize it's a medical condition: obesity. Obesity, it's a medical condition. If someone has obesity, had a lot of weight, that's a medical condition. It's a disease if you carry a lot of weight and if you are obese. Because obesity is a change in physiology of the body to create complications and also a worse outcome, unfortunately, for the person who has this obesity. Having excess weight could be a social norm, and it could be acceptable to be a social norm in a lot of societies, actually. But unfortunately, we can't avoid missing the point here, is that when someone has obesity and has excess amount of weight, that means he has a medical condition, which also causes medical problems and complications. And we say that because it does cause complications. So first of all, what could happen if someone has obesity? If someone has obesity, there's a lot of buildup of fat cells in the body. And these fat cells could accumulate in several locations. They could accumulate somewhere around the skin or just underneath the skin. We call them subcutaneous fat. And these are the ones that actually makes the appearance of the person fat and unpleasant in some situations. But there is also a very important part of fat. When it accumulates at certain organs or around certain organs, especially around the gut and the abdomen. So there's a lot of fat that accumulates in between the intestines, on the liver, and some of them also over area of the heart. And these amount of fat actually could create a lot of problems in the function of these organs. The amount of fat that accumulates there can increase the chance of what we call atherosclerosis, which is thickening of the walls of the blood vessels, which are the blood vessels that supply the heart. The blood vessels also who could supply the brain, and also the blood vessels that could supply the peripheral limbs, the hands and the feet. So these blood vessels are very crucial to stay patent and healthy. And when the amount of fat accumulates around these organs, these also fat could accumulate within these blood vessels and build up this atherosclerosis phase and develop this calcification also, which could develop within the fat that accumulates in these blood vessels, where the layer of calcification also happens, and this will lead to hardening of these blood vessels and increases the chances of developing heart attacks, strokes, and a lot of medical conditions which are bad. So these amount of fats could accumulate in the body and causes a lot of physiology changes in the body. Also, because of weight, people also tend to have complication because they're carrying now excess amount of weight. And the excess amount of weight could have a load on several organs and several parts of the body. If someone is heavy or large, the amount of body weight that he carries doubles or even becomes much more than that. So our knees, our joints, and our back is not really fit to handle much higher weight than it actually was designed for. So people can carry double their weight on their knees or their back and develop chronically back pains, knee pains, and that puts them at risk of developing also arthritis and accumulation or distortion of the blood of these joints, and having issues related to movements and mobility. We'll talk more about obesity after the break. Obesity also, as we were talking before the break, obesity also could have, because of the load, because of the weight issues, also could have other related problems. Another problem which is very common and could be underappreciated is something we call obstructive sleep apnea. People who have a lot of weight and they are obese could accumulate this weight also over their chest. So during sleeping, they could have difficulty in staying asleep or going into deep sleep, because what happens, because of the weight, they cannot really sleep very well. And their periods of going into a sleep phase out, meaning they don't go into a deep sleep pattern. Because whenever they go into a sleep pattern which is deep, their muscles or their chest muscles relaxes, and because of their weight, it cannot stay relaxed very well because they develop a low oxygen level in the blood. And when they do that, it gives a signal to the brain to start to wake up again, to breathe better and try to accumulate or absorb or induce more oxygen to the blood. So whenever they go into a sleep, oxygen falls down, and that makes them sleep cycle distorted and try to wake up again. So these people, when they wake up in the morning, they don't feel fresh, they don't feel that they had a good amount of sleep, and during the daytime, they're always weak and tired and always feel sleepy. Those people also usually at night they snore, and they actually loud snorers, and they can actually have even periods where they gasp for air, or they seem like they are obstructing and they cannot breathe very well when they're asleep. So these are very important things. Obesity also could have risk in developing some certain types of cancers. Obesity has been linked to colon cancer, to liver cancer, to lung cancer, and these are very bad cancers which can create a lot of bad conditions and bad problems for people. So obesity, as we try to understand here, it's a medical condition because it causes complications. And the physiology behind the obesity changes a lot in the body. That's why it creates a lot of problems. Now, of course, and it's very obvious, and we understand that obesity, with all the medical condition that it causes, it's definitely the main cause of developing diabetes, main cause of developing also hypertension, and it's very important cause of causing also hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol levels. And these medical conditions fortunately can be managed by doing a separate therapy. But we always try to point out is that if you manage your obesity very well, you probably also will manage your diabetes very well. And this is one of the conditions, or one of the types of diabetes that you can actually cure. If your diabetes comes from obesity, if you're obese enough to cause diabetes, then getting rid of the obesity that you have will definitely cure you from diabetes and just eliminates this medical condition. So a lot of improvement of health parameters, a lot of improvement in your social life, a lot of improvement in your own satisfaction becomes much better if you lose a lot of weight. Now, how to lose this weight? There are a lot of conditions or ways into how to lose weight. The best way is to establish a healthy lifestyle. Reducing the amount of calories in your diet, that would be the most important step you need to do. Look at your diet, see where there are mistakes, and try to avoid that. Exercise as much as you can, walking, swimming, jogging. These are very good exercise, about 30 to 45 minutes a day, and try to avoid any other things related to unhealthy lifestyle that increases your weight. I wish you a pleasant and happy Ramadan and safe Ramadan for you.
That basic bodily movement we do on a day-to-day basis, walking. Now, walking encompasses several topics that we've already discussed. First of all, it burns calories. That is crucial in leading a healthier lifestyle. And with more walking, you're able to grab that piece of dessert that you may be craving. Now, walking has to be turned into a habit. So you have to do it day in and day out until it becomes this subconscious, automatic behavior that you do all the time. So you just find yourself parking your car a little bit further and walking a little bit longer. And finally, walking is an exercise, or rather a movement. So it releases endorphins, the happy hormone. Now, if you want to boost those endorphin levels, then walk with a friend and turn walking into a social activity. And with that, walking can be the way into leading a positive life.